I caught my golden child brother kissing my fiancé a week before our wedding, so I waited and exposed them both. This is something I need to get off my chest. Even though it happened 6 months ago, the pain has dulled, but writing this feels necessary for my healing process. My younger brother Jake, 27M, and I never had a great relationship growing up. He was always the golden child, better grades, better at sports, more popular. Our parents constantly compared us, and it created a rift that never really healed. We maintained a cordial relationship as adults, but there was always underlying tension. He would have on and off relationships with people, but I never met any of them personally. Looking back, I think a large part of this was due to jealousy, because it felt like I finally had something that he couldn't get, and he hated that. I met Sarah, 29F, 3 years ago at a friend's barbecue. She was everything I'd ever wanted, smart, funny, ambitious, and seemed to genuinely care about me. We clicked immediately, and after 2 years of dating, I proposed. She said yes, and I truly thought I'd found my happily ever after. Jake and Sarah had always gotten along well, which I initially saw as a positive thing. I was glad my brother and future wife could be friendly, thinking it might help bridge the gap between us. Looking back, there were signs I chose to ignore. The inside jokes I wasn't part of, the way they text each other even when we were all in the same room, how they always seemed to find reasons to be alone together. 1 week before the wedding, I came home early from work because I'd forgotten some documents I needed for a meeting. As I pulled into our driveway, I saw Jake's car parked outside. This wasn't unusual. He'd been helping with wedding preparations. What was unusual was a complete silence when I entered the house. I found them in the kitchen. Sarah was sitting on the counter, and Jake was kissing her. They didn't notice me at first, and I just stood there, frozen, watching my world crumble. It's almost like it was all happening in slow motion. When they finally saw me, Sarah burst into tears, and Jake started stammering excuses. It's not what it looks like, and this was the first time, and other classics. I didn't say a word. I just turned around, walked out, got in my car, and drove to a hotel. My phone exploded with calls and messages from both of them, but I ignored everything. Instead, I started planning what options I had. I knew that I wasn't going to marry Sarah already. What she has done was unforgivable. I wanted everyone to know her true colors. The wedding was already paid for, non-refundable. All the guests were flying in. I decided to let the wedding go ahead, with a twist. The day of the wedding arrived. Sarah had been frantically trying to reach me all week, but I'd only communicated to my best man that I still intended to go through with it. Jake had sent countless messages claiming it was a moment of weakness and begging me not to tell our parents. I genuinely think he was more worried about how he's going to appear to everyone than he is about how I feel. During the ceremony, when the officiant asked if anyone had any objections, I stood up. Sarah looked confused. I was supposed to be standing there already, but I'd asked my best man to take my place while I sat in the audience. I walked to the front, took the microphone, and calmly told everyone how I caught the bride and my brother kissing in our kitchen a week ago. I played the security camera footage from our kitchen, which they didn't know about, on the projector we'd set up for the wedding slideshow. The gasps from the audience were audible. Sarah collapsed in tears. Jake tried to approach me, but our father held him back. I thanked everyone for coming, apologized for the deception, and announced that while there would be no wedding, the reception hall was paid for and they should all enjoy the food and drinks. Then I walked out. Not another word. I moved to another state the next week. My job is with quite a large company, so I was able to transfer but still keep my same role. I've changed my number and blocked them both on social media. My parents have tried to convince me to reconcile with Jake, claiming blood is thicker than water, but I stood firm. Some betrayals can't be forgiven. It's been 6 months now. I'm in therapy, working through my trust issues. Started dating again recently. My new city is beautiful, and I'm making new friends. Sometimes starting fresh is the best revenge. To Sarah and Jake, I hope it was worth it. To anyone else going through something similar, you deserve better, and it does get better. Choose yourself first. On to the final story. My brother overheard his wife bribing me to edit out my disabled daughter from their wedding photos, so he kicked her out of the house. I'm still processing everything that happened this weekend, and I need to get this off my chest. I, 34F, am a professional photographer, and my daughter Emma, 8M, has cerebral palsy and uses a wheelchair. She's the light of my life. Smart, funny, and absolutely beautiful. My brother James, 36M, got married to Sarah, 31F, last month, and I was both the photographer and a guest at their wedding. Emma was a flower girl, and she looked absolutely stunning in her purple dress. She was so excited to be part of her uncle's special day. Yesterday, Sarah called me about the wedding photos. At first, everything seemed normal. She loved most of the shots, the lighting, the composition. Then her tone changed. About the photos with Emma, she started, and I felt my stomach drop. I was wondering if you could edit her out of some of the main family photos. Maybe Photoshop someone else in her place. I was speechless. She continued, I'll pay you extra, of course. $500 for the edits. It's just, these are photos we'll show everyone, and I want them to be perfect. Before I could respond, I heard a crash in the background. Then my brother's voice, sharp and clear. What did you just say? Apparently, James had come home early from work and overheard everything on speakerphone. Sarah started stammering, trying to explain, but James wasn't having it. I stayed on the line frozen as their argument unfolded. James was livid. Perfect. My niece is perfect. How dare you suggest removing her from our family photos? How long have you felt this way about Emma? Sarah's true colors came out then. She said she'd tolerated Emma's presence at the wedding because she had to, but she didn't want to explain the wheelchair to her family and friends when showing the photos. She actually said this about my daughter, about her own niece. James told her to get out, just like that. He said he couldn't be married to someone who would discriminate against his family, especially a child. He told her to pack her things and leave. I tried to apologize to James for somehow causing this, but he stopped me. Don't you dare apologize, he said. You and Emma did nothing wrong. Sarah showed who she really is, and I'm grateful I found out now rather than years down the line. Emma doesn't know about any of this yet. She's been asking when Aunt Sarah is coming to visit next. They used to be close, which makes this even more heartbreaking. I don't know how to tell her. James is staying with us for a few days while he figures things out. Last night, after Emma went to bed, we looked through the wedding photos together. There's this beautiful shot of Emma beaming up at James as he kneels next to her wheelchair during the reception. James got teary-eyed and said, This is what family looks like. This is perfect. I'm devastated for my brother, but so proud of how he handled it. He's already talking to a lawyer about annulment options. Sarah's family has been calling and texting nonstop, calling us all sorts of names, but James isn't budging. To think that someone could look at my beautiful, loving daughter and see something that needs to be erased, it breaks my heart. But my brother's response gives me hope. Emma has so many people who love her exactly as she is, and those are the only people who deserve to be in her life. Update. The support from this community has been overwhelming. To everyone asking, yes, I'm keeping every photo of Emma exactly as they are. She's perfect just the way she is, and anyone who can't see that doesn't deserve to be in our lives. James has found a good lawyer and has proceeded with a divorce, despite Sarah's best efforts of playing the victim. I'm just glad we were able to see the side of her now, and not years down the line, which would have complicated things even more. Thank you all for the support. It means more than you know. What did you think of these stories? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thanks for listening.